Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mio on MMA podcast for, what is it today? 11th of February. There you go. And we're recapping the UFC Apex card from last weekend, UFC Vegas 113, I do believe. And it was the Mario Bautista versus Vinicius Olivera card. If you need any more help than that, there you go. Was the card pretty good? Yeah, I would say that realistically speaking here, I enjoyed all but one fight on the card. Well, two. Actually, it's three, but the third one is a bit of an oddity. I did not enjoy, nor did I think anyone particularly enjoy, Jailton Almedia versus Rizvan Kuniev, but I did enjoy everything else with the exception of Ketlin Souza, Bruno Brazil, not because of a lack of action in that fight, because I found it very, very frustrating to watch Bruno Brazil, who I picked. And I'll go into more detail in this, but just not fight well. Just having the obvious option to win the fight and just not actually doing it. That was problematic for me, I would have to say, at the very least. And Wang Tong wasn't especially impressive in her victory over Eduardo Mora. That was not a particularly great fight, and they both missed weight, so that also kind of was a problem. But everything else either was entertaining in an action standpoint or had a meaning, insightfulness that we could take into the next round of fights. And as a result of that, pretty fair time. Anyways, let's talk about the fights. At the top, we had Mario Bautista versus Vinicius Olivera. Bautista winning in the second round by rear naked choke. This fight went basically exactly how I thought. Now, there is a bit of a sour taste here because apparently Olivera was quite injured heading into the fight. And people are debating, well, should we believe them? Should we not? Should he have just pulled out? The problem is that we know that the UFC does not pay when you don't fight. And that includes on a medical level. That there are complications towards your health care pulling out of a fight versus taking the fight, and no fight, no pay. So I'm not going to be on the bandwagon of people who believed that we should have seen a pullout here from Vinicius Olivera. Otherwise, you can't complain because that's not realistic. Now, if Olivera is looking for actual sympathy on the matter, obviously the fact is that there is nothing that says Mario Bautista wasn't also fighting quite injured, because the same application of the pay and the medical care and so on goes to your opponent as well. And that's the classic, very seldom will you see a fighter fight at 100%. There is a difference between fighting at, say, 92% and 65%, but no one's getting the 100%. So when people bring out the injuries, it just it rings a little bit hollow, and I feel that. Also, I don't really think this was a Olivera fight where he didn't fight his standard fight realistically, because Olivera's shortcomings in this fight were essentially technical and defensive in nature. And he's never defensive, and he's never particularly technical. His game is go forward, take a lot of punishment. That's the thing about Olivera fights, is that there is no such thing as a Vinicius Olivera fight where he locks the opponent out on their own offensive levels. Kyler Phillips had a great deal of success early against him. So did Said Nurmagomedov. So did Ricky Simon. So he started off actually really, really sharp against Simon. Maybe Simon is the one exception to this. But also that was a dark period of Ricky Simon's career. But and we even see it in the win over Bernardo Sopage he had, where realistically people find offensive success against Olivera. It's just that he absorbs it, eats it, keeps going, and eventually kind of breaks them because they have that moment of, God damn, I've hit this guy with my absolute best shots. I'm getting tired. He looks tired, but he's still coming at me. And he shows no signs of letting up. That is the Vinicius Olivera path to victory. And I said that it just wouldn't really work against Bautista. So I'm sure he was injured. I don't think he's lying. I just don't think it particularly matters. I think this is how Bautista versus him is going to play out. Olivera can have success putting Bautista against the fence, but he can't really weaponize the clinch. He can take Bautista down, but he can't out-scramble him. He can't out-position him. He can't lock him down. Bautista got the better of basically every single scramble in this relatively brief, admittedly 2-round fight, and eventually got the submission, and also had the command of the range game. Nothing about an injury really changes that dynamic. So, is this the end for Olivera? No, he's 30 years old. He's still got time. What this proves, I suppose, in a nutshell, is something that I already suspected. He's not a champion caliber fighter. But there's a lot of guys, even at UFC bantamweight level, that are not championship caliber, and they go on to have very, very effective and long careers. And I have no doubt that Olivera is going to be fighting another 4 years or so at least, and putting on relatively exciting fights, and also beating fighters who are more technical than him and probably have more promise than him. I would look at Said Nurmagomedov and Bernardo Sopaj and why am I blanking? Why am I blanking on the other guy he fought? Not Ricky Simone, because Ricky Simone is Kyler Phillips. Guys who probably realistically have a higher ceiling if they could ever actually realize it, because they have a raw technical base that Olivera does not have. Shouldn't say raw technical. They have a technical base that Olivera does not have. And as a result, there's just more to build on there. Whereas Olivera is what he is. And what he is a guy who probably is going to be a gatekeeper to about the top 10 at bantamweight. And he's going to push anybody who's overly reliant on physical gifts back. He's going to push people who can be bullied back. But anybody who has a game that is based around technicality and is not allergic to just being pressured, he'll pretty much lose to. And if you want to go back to my preview, I said much the same thing. That's what I said. I got this fight. Now, to be clear, I can't get too cocky because I also thought other people would pass the Olivera test, and they probably did not. I did think Kyler Phillips was going to. I think I want to say I probably also picked Said Nurmagomedov to beat him as well, even though I've never been a fan or particularly hopeful of Said Nurmagomedov. But I would have, at the time, still thought he was... I would have at the very least mentioned that he has the higher potential than Olivera. We'll put it that way. I may have at the end picked Olivera, but I would not have gone too deep. Anyways, what to do next with Bautista? What to do next with Olivera? Olivera, it's just whoever you need to have tested out, and if he is actually injured, go heal that up. Go get to the point where your next fight is something to be excited about. And for Mario Bautista, I really should have the UFC rankings up when I do this. What do we got here? Men's bantamweight. There you are. So Bautista currently sits in 8th place. He'd have to fight up. Problem is, there's not actually a lot of interesting stuff to do up. Song Yadong is a good fight, but otherwise you're looking at Ayman Zahabi, who probably should be fighting up, and I think he called out Sandhagen for a rematch. You could do that. I don't really need to see that fight as a rematch. I'm gonna go with Song Yadong. Song Yadong versus Mario Bautista. That'd be a fun fight. Let that happen. Let that simmer. Let that roll. And like I said, for Olivera, the answer is probably going to be whoever the next hotness is coming up, because the guys in that position right now are not guys I'm interested in seeing him fight. Rob Font is not on the come up. Kyler Phillips, he's already fought, and then Montel Jackson. You could do Montel Jackson, I guess, but I think the shine is strongly off Montel Jackson at this point, so I don't think that that's a particularly interesting place to go. Amir Albazi versus Kyoji Horiguchi. This fight proved that Albazi can be a little bit dangerous, but that he's just outclassed at this level. He was outstruck in all 3 rounds. He was out-wrestled. Not offensively, but he was largely shut down, 0 for 7 on takedowns. His only real hope moment was in round 1 when he hit Horiguchi with a jab, a proper power jab. And because Horiguchi was a bit off balance, he ended up dropping. Even with that, number 1, it wasn't a proper drop, but number 2, even with that, you got outstruck 26-4, my man. It is pretty hard to win a round when you represent, less than 20% of the strikes landed. Like, it doesn't work. So he was basically limited to single-digit strikes landed, and this was a complete waste of time. There are people saying that they needed this fight for Horiguchi to be built towards a title shot. Bullshit. You gave Kai Asakura an immediate title shot. The precedent is there. We have the reason. We have the rationale. We have everything you could want to go with the title shot right now. You have Pantoja, who's presumably out for a bit. Like that, it should be in a perfect world Pantoja Jan too. But you can do Horiguchi versus Jan, or like at least give me something interesting for Horiguchi to do. I don't need to see him fight Tadger Ulanbekov. I don't need to see him fight Amir Albazi. If you want to do like a fight with Manel Kape, that could be fun. Manel Kape could be interesting. They fought before, I think. Did Horiguchi fight Kape while he was over in Ryzen? I'm pretty sure he did. Need to go back and rewatch some of it. Yeah, there it is. 2017, got the win in the third round. Yeah, you could do a rematch for that. That would be fine. That would be fun. And Kape would be, and if Kape wins, sure, fine. He's in the title picture and he's got an elevation. Or Japanese on Japanese with Tetsuya Taira. Or, well, that's about it. I think those were really the only two pathways. Anything else should have been a title shot. And Ulanbekov was a waste of time, and so was this. I know Albazi's ranked number 7 in the division, but why is my first, my immediate question is why? Like, I understand the answer is he's only lost to Moreno and now Horiguchi, but let's be real. Dude lost to Kai Kara France, which is his only notable win. I feel like that has to be emphasized. Like, his best proper win is Alessandro Costa. Let that sink in. So this was a bad booking. It was a perfectly fun fight. I enjoyed the fight, but it told us very, very little about Horiguchi going forward, because Albazi is at best a general question mark because of the spine injury that he had and the heart injury. Like, for Albazi's own safety, you should be giving him relatively easy fights too. Like, this is the wrong part of the card. And then Kuniev versus Almeida, I don't honestly have much to say. It was not a good fight. It was slow paced. Almeida went 0 for 8 on takedowns. Generally got out clinched, got out struck, had problems with takedowns, and of course is a drastically uncomfortable striker. And this has brought out a whole conversation about, well, Almeida should just go back down to 205. I don't think that fixes anything. Someone was trying to point out that Kuniev is really, really big and that helps his takedown defense. I grant you that fully. But at heavyweight, you basically have Kuniev, and that's about it, that are going to stop his takedowns. He took down Curtis Blades, he took down Romanov, he took down Spivak. There is no reason to believe that there is a particularly long list of guys who are just going to stop his takedowns in this division. He's beaten the grapplers of the division. In a nutshell. That's the problem. And at 205, I think he runs into the exact same issue that he has now, where if he cannot get easy takedowns and instant domination, he will lose. There's not much else to say about that other than, well, that. The fix for him is, it's all mental. It's not physical. In a perfect world, is he better off at 205? Yeah, sure. But he's going to run into the exact same problem at 205, is that people who are athletic enough or strong enough or fast enough to keep him from taking him down, he's going to end up at the same problem where he's a drastically uncomfortable striker. And it's not even like he just needs to learn to strike, because if you watch him throw a single shot, he knows how to strike. It's all in his head. In open fire, it just goes to horrible places. And there's not really anything else to say about it. I'm not really interested in seeing what he can do until that gets fixed. And it's a shame, because he is actually a really good fighter. He has an incredibly high ceiling. This is not the typical heavyweight problem of you actually cannot be good. This is you could be good. You just need to get with like a sports therapist and a performance like guy. I don't know what to say about it beyond that. So moving on down to the next fight on the card, Javid Basharat, John Matsumoto. This is a fun time. Matsumoto was able to do a lot of his. Pardon me, I skipped a fight. Oleg Sajic, Marc-Andre Barrio. This was perfectly fine. This was as good as it was going to be. Barrio went the distance, showed some durability still in play, kept up a decent pace. Wasn't washed in any round. Well, maybe the first round a little bit. Oleg Sajic came out hot, had his best round of the fight by far, and Barrio couldn't really do much. It was outlanded like 47-19 per UFC stats. So that was a bit ugly. But like round 2 was close. Round 3 was competitive. I had Oleg Sajic winning all 3 rounds cleanly. I don't even know what round the judges gave Barrio, honestly, because it was 29-28 across the board. I don't know what Eric Clone, Junichiro Kamijo, or Ron McCarthy actually gave to him. There's not a round in here that I thought was even really worth talking about, I guess. I guess the third? Oleg Sajic kind of faded out a little bit, and while he still did outland him 54-26, it was him badly failing takedowns, I think is a bad optical look, and Barrio landing for the first time in the fight the more powerful shots. So I guess it would have to be round 3. Although in terms of strikes landed, round 2 was closer. But that round 3 had more to do with the fact that Oleg Sajic just didn't have any sauce on it, didn't have the horsepower on it, didn't have the sting on it anymore. So I guess that could be the one. But looking back at this one, I would say 30-27 Oleg Sajic is the proper score. But does this mean great things for Oleg Sajic and his alliance with the fine people at Fight Nerds? Not really. Barrio is a guy that, is losing a lot right now. Like, you went the distance to a decision with a guy who got finished by Dustin Stolfus in the first round, just back in November of 2024. A guy who got dusted by Joe Pyfer. That's not a knock, because Pyfer is Pyfer. But, who's been handled handily by Anthony Hernandez, Gideon Jaquani. Barrio doesn't really have much left. So, is it a bad sign? No, I don't think that there's any, warning sign necessarily. It's just there's not a lot of positives coming out of this fight for Oleg Sajic. But it was fun, and that's, I guess, what we're at the end of the day here for. Now we get to the fight I started talking about, Matsumoto, the first of the 2 Basharat fights we're going to talk about here. Matsumoto did a good job, obviously. He kept pressure on, got some takedowns, didn't have a lot of top control time with them, landed some hard shots, but he had the problem that I think he's just going to have to find better coaching to fix, which is, at the end of the day, he doesn't have a complex decision-making tree. He's kind of like Vinicius Olivera, but he's not as big or as bullyish as Olivera is. He's not as physically imposing. It's undoubtedly hits reasonably hard, and the form is not terrible, and the mental aspects of be aggressive and be a dog there. He doesn't have the problem that a lot of bully fighters have, where they fall apart when things go wrong. He'll keep doing it, but he has no way to really cleanly win a fight. I said this way back when he fought Brad Katona. There's you went out there, you had a win, you got to win over Brad Katona, but it was a close fight. As you go up the bantamweight ranks, there's just going to be far, far more physically equal and even better fighters for you to face. And that's Javid Basharat. He is a more physically capable version of Katona in the sense that he has an active, very good jab, a good sense of timing, good technique as a boxer, good technique as a wrestler, good technical fighter everywhere. And that on top of that, you're going to be dealing with a bit faster. Basharat is not a fantastic athlete, but he is a UFC caliber 135 athlete. And he has a great feel for counters and so on. And Matsumoto ran into them a lot. So I gave Basharat the first and the second. I gave Matsumoto the third because, kind of like Oleg Sajic in the prior fight, Basharat did fade a bit. Got outlanded 52-38. They traded some takedowns. They didn't really go anywhere, so this was basically a striking affair. And Matsumoto was probably even landing the better shots, too. So, came on strong late, but, the problem for Matsumoto is I think this is his fight, against basically everyone that they're going to match him up with at this point. Because there's just... He's out of dudes. He very quickly ran out of dudes that he can just bully. And we're at the point where he has to make a technical change, advancement, shift that is going to let him actually make it to the next level. Now, he can do that because he's 26 years old. He has time, and he now has exposure. But it does feel like there's probably a different coach that's going to have to take him over the line than the coaching staff that brought him here to the dance, which is always a hard break to make. Dustin Jacoby versus Julius Walker. Julius Walker went out there and he manhandled Jacoby with some cool like semi-slams and stuff, but he also got lit up really, really early, panic shot into a Darce choke, and I mean, Dustin Jacoby getting a submission win would have been hilarious. But yeah, Walker ate a lot of jabs. Like I said, got the takedowns, got the scoop slam, took him down, thunderous stuff, but like didn't really do anything with the top position, really. Jacoby got back up, he got backpacked, he got mat returned, he got slammed again, but like, you know, he prevented anything but the slams from really being a thing for Walker in the round, and I still gave him the round. But it was obviously a little bit concerning to see Walker just kind of manhandle him out there. But he manhandled him to the tune of getting 2.5 minutes of top control and 10 strikes landed. So there you go. Round 2 comes around. Jacoby staggers him really, really early. Walker, you know, recovers decently well, but he gets hurt again. He face plants. Walker survives a little bit. Zombies for takedowns. Ends up down and getting just smashed until Mr. 500, Dan Mergliotta, decides to stop the fight. Not a great look for Mergliotta with us celebrating his 500. I think they said fight? I hope it's not event. As a professional referee. So, not really something that really tells us anything. Jacoby still can beat guys who don't have a fundamental game, and Julius Walker needs a lot of work. Like a lot of work. The raw building blocks are there for him. He's got a decent frame. He's decently big. He's also like comfortable getting his ass kicked. Comfortable going into a firefight, and I appreciate that. But he's not a stud athlete, at least by 205 standards. And outside of being, he seems to be like legitimately strong, but he's not particularly fast, not particularly explosive, not particularly quick. And it's going to be a lot of work to make him into something. And he got here. He got here too early. He's got time though. Like Matsumoto, he is 26 years old. He can find something, but like Matsumoto, I think he needs a new gym. Alex Morono versus Daniel Donchenko. I don't have much to say about this. Morono was instantaneously outmatched by Donchenko, and largely about the only good thing I can say for him is that he got to a decision. That's about it. He got dropped in the first round. Should have probably gotten finished. He got dropped by low kicks pretty much the whole time. He was wearing a knee sleeve or brace. Not sure which. Please, for the love, if you're going to do that, please wear it on both legs. Like, it would make sense for Morono because he's a crafty guard grappler and stuff to actually have the knee sleeves on for like grappling advantage. But if you're going to do it on just one, that screams injury, and the way he reacted to the low kicks suggests as such. Again, I'm not saying pull out because you got an injury. I understand that the system is rigged to make you want to fight because of pay, medical, and general, how should I put this? Structure of public relations with the UFC is to fight injured. But you gotta hide it, my man. You gotta camouflage that a bit better. But I don't think it would. I don't think it would have mattered. Donchenko is actually legitimately like fast and like impressive. So that's all. Nikolai Veretennikov executed Nico Price. No idea why this fight was made, because if you're trying to make someone off of the skull of Nico Price, why are you picking Nikolai Veretennikov, who is the same age as him and possibly older? Like, I'm interested. What's the birthday comparison here? Okay, he's about 3 months younger than Nico Price, and he's not going anywhere. Like, we've seen Veretennikov now a couple times. He's not impressive. Even when he wins, he's not impressive. Like, that's the problem. even when he wins. His most impressive fight is probably still going the distance with Michael Morales. But like, other than that, is losing to Danny Barlow, losing to Austin Manafort, beating Francisco Prado, who shouldn't be at 170, and losing to Pino Soriano, and now beating old man Nico Price. Like, there was no point in doing this, and I was largely just annoyed the entire time. Rolling on down, we had Bruno Brazil versus Ketlin Souza. I'm going to try to not turn this one into a rant, but here's the problem I saw. Bruno Brazil, whenever she wanted to do stuff, in a nutshell, when she wanted to commit to enforcing her will on the fight, she was able to land and hurt Ketlin Souza in a way that Souza could not do to her. But because she elected to fight predominantly on the back foot, Souza was able to pressure her, to clinch her, pin her to the fence, not get a lot done, mind you, because 1 for 8 on takedowns, about 8 minutes of control along the fence more than anything else, and some dirty boxing. Like, you could argue Brazil still won this fight, even though she fought incredibly dumb, because there is an argument that she won the first and the third. I don't think she won the third. I think she won the first. I think she lost the second and the third. And it wasn't that she got worn down. It was just her. She never had an adjustment to, like, actually take the fight to Souza and make Souza go on the back foot. You need to pressure Souza back. And the weird thing is, Brazil has done pressure before. It's not like she is a dedicated back fighter. This is not it. You just need to do what you did against Molly McCann. And it probably would have worked. Anyways, I'm angry. I put money on Brazil. Got her at underdog odds. This should have been money. But no, like, I'm talking, like, just in general. Like, Bruno Brazil has, like, physical attributes that could make her a reasonably good strawweight. And the right things in game planning are not going on right now in her camp. So I would love to see that change and improve. There you go. Johnny Vasquez stood up and took on Javid Basharat on like 3 days' notice. And you know what? He didn't have a terrible fight. The first round was not good. I will say the first round was not good. He got tarred up pretty heavily, got knocked down by Javid Basharat, got controlled for a little bit as well after getting knocked down. He got worked. But round 2, he comes out, actually starts doing some damage, comes up like a little bit 50-50 with Basharat in terms of strikes landed. Really resounding response for a guy on super short notice. And in the third round, I thought he got the better shots in, although he was outlanded 24-9. So I have no real objection if you went 30-27 for Basharat or 29-28 for Basharat, because the second round was really close. I don't have really much else to say about this fight. It's a fight between two guys who had a couple of days to prepare for one another, and therefore, no idea. Maybe a rematch is like really favors Basharat. Vasquez missed weight, but like, I'm not going to get annoyed at him. I know he's a flyweight, so it's a little bit more concerning that he missed weight. A little bit more. But at the same time, dude went in there off the couch, did a good job, gave us a good fight. I ain't gonna complain. I'm not gonna throw shade at all. Eduardo Mora versus Wong Tong was not very good at all. Round 1 wasn't bad. Wong knocked down Mora, fed it off 2 takedowns, did get taken down twice, but like largely nullified things. And then round 2 comes around and it's basically Mora holding top control for 4 minutes and 31 seconds. One judge still gave Wong Tong the round. Don't get me wrong. Wong Tong did land more strikes, way more strikes, 54-17. But it's all basically off her back. There's no damage there. I get it. We don't want to reward a round or score a round based on just top control. I get that. I understand that. But you need to give me something. You need to give me something that the person on bottom did other than like little tappy hooks from bottom. Like, it's just not going to do anything. Anyways, Song wins the third round easily anyways. Yeah, this was the fight that I feared it would be. I mean, one, they both missed weight. But on top of that, it's like, okay, Mora is just going to try and take her down. And if there's success, she's gonna wet blanket her. And she did. And when she can't, she's going to get outstruck really badly. So I don't understand what we were supposed to get out of this fight. But the Joker wins, And I guess her 100% takedown defense goes bye-bye, I guess. That's about it. Not that that really matters, but like, I don't know. There wasn't really a point to this fight, and let's move on. Jakub Wickwatch versus Muin Gafarov. Gafarov missed weight. That was surprising. Round 1, pretty simple, really, really close round. I gave it to Gafarov slightly. He, I thought, landed the better shots, even though the literal number of shots landed were very, 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 very close to one another. So there's not really much to talk about there. If you gave it to Wickwatch, I'm not going to argue too much. But like, Gafarov was doing a good job of beating him up to the body in the clinch. And also the clinch, the guillotine drops are a bad idea. Please stop doing that, Wickwatch. And of course, the fact that, well, spoiler, he got the job done with a guillotine probably means he's not going to stop. But round 2, this is the Wickwatch round. He comes out, and Gafarov has like a pretty good like early surge, but like he gets taken down and gets controlled for 4 minutes and 19 seconds, and there's like takedown attempts, and there's like actual ground pound. And unlike Mora, Wickwatch did stuff from top that made it undeniable that he was winning the fight. He was actually beating Gafarov up. Round 3, Gafarov is doing great. He's outlanding him like 2-1. He's got the cardio left. Wickwatch does not. Wickwatch's cardio is super weird. Dude seems to recharge really well between the first and the second round. Because he looked like he was gassing in the first round, and then the second round he comes out, and he's fine. And then he can't do it in the third round, so it's not like he has superhuman recovery abilities. But like, yeah, he was done. Gafarov was doing his thing, doing it, and then takedown, and you're in a guillotine. And with 1 second on the clock, you're tapping. And you're tapping sneakily on the side the ref's not looking at, and then you're tapping on the other side, and then you complain, oh no, I didn't tap. Yeah, you did. And Wickwatch gets the win. So, congratulations to Jakub Wickwatch. You were maybe on your way to losing, depending on how that first round was scored. You were on your way to losing on my card, we'll put it that way. I think the first round is close enough that it doesn't have to go to Gafarov. But the third round does. And you were in trouble. Not sure how they'll handle Gafarov missing weight. Still a weird fight, because I do feel like Wickwatch, after beating Patchy Mick, should have been on something higher profile, particularly on a fight card that had a lot of bantamweight stuff on it. Like, you could have had him fight at least like Javid Basharat or Said Nurmagomedov, who got pulled off this card, or either of Farid Basharat or Sean Matsumoto would have been, I think, probably fine. So Gafarov was a bit of a weird one. Now, mind you, I don't know who I would have put against Gafarov of that group, so I guess I don't really have a counter argument. I guess what I would have done in a perfect world is have Wickwatch fight Javid Basharat and not have to bring up Vasquez for a short notice replacement. That probably would have been ideal. But there you go. Claudia Segula went out there and did her thing against Priscilla Cachoeira. Priscilla Cachoeira is just not good. Like, that's all there is to it. She's got a little bit of pop in her hands, don't get me wrong, and she's got a willingness to throw them, a little willingness to throw the leather, and persistent low kicks, although I'm not entirely certain that they're good ones. And Segula did what she was supposed to do. She was, well, not quite, because there were points where she could have been safe and locked in, and she elected to kind of walk onto some of Cachoeira's power. That was not great. So there were some fight IQ issues with Segula, but like overall a pretty solid performance, getting a win in her third UFC fight now. She's in a weird place where, like, I feel like she's good. I feel like she's got talent. But my God, what is beating Irina Alesiva in a kickboxing match and Priscilla Cachoeira actually mean? It's the problem. It's kind of the problem with this division, is there's a lot of people in it that don't really matter. And Alexieva and Cachoeira are like two of them. And there are more. There are far more. They're just not good. They're just tough, but they're not good. Anyways, we get the week off coming up, and then we have Sean Strickland versus Anthony Hernandez. Strickland in the main event in Houston, Texas. We're going to get political bullcrap with that, aren't we? Anyways, the card is not bad. I'm looking forward to Jeff Neal versus Eros Medic. Danny Ige versus Melgil Cost is fun. I am here for Zach Reese versus Michelle Pea. I'm not really here for Zach Reese, but like if I got to put up with Zach Reese, it might as well be against like fun, zany guys like Michelle Pajea. Chidi Njokuani and Carlos Leal is a low-key banger. I love that option. Ode Osborne versus Alibi Idris. It's fine. Garule versus a surprisingly good UFC debut from Alden Correa in his second outing. Nora Cornola, Jocelyn Edwards is about the best, and that's sad, that women's bantamweight can do. Soriano versus Brahima. Debuting fighter against Phil Rowe, Jordan Levitt, Yadier Daval. Carly Judice versus Juliana Miller. Not terrible. I skipped one heavyweight fight in there, and it's because I don't want to see it. But the main event does kind of does suck a little bit. Anyways, check out down below for my link tree with its links to my social medias, my Discord server where you can enjoy the MMA Fight Simulator, my video game stuff if you happen to have a passion for that as well. Until next time, have a good one.